Buckle up, baby. It's snippet time. Welcome to Sobriety Snippets for Women Over 40, where we elevate our mindset to trade hangovers for higher consciousness, one powerful snippet at a time. I'm Becca Jacobson, and welcome to Snippet Land, gals. If you're new here, welcome home, my dear. This is the place to be if you're 40 plus and struggling with alcohol. This is where we focus on you, your specific journey, because our journey is not the same. It's just not the same, gals. So I'm really glad you found us. If you're coming back for another snippet, my dear, thank you for coming back. Thank you for being in my world. Thank you for being a devoted member of Snippet Land, gals. As the year is still fresh and new, we are talking about identity. It's our focus this month so far, but today I'm going to move just a little bit outside of that without going so far out that we get outside the realm of focus, because it occurred to me that we can't forget a very important prong or aspect of this journey. So let me just start at the beginning. As you know, here in Snippet Land, we talk about sobriety as an emotional journey because that's exactly what it is, right? Not about the alcohol. It's about growing up emotionally. You can call it emotional sobriety if you like, emotional maturity. Gal, it is the journey. That's what helps us make this the single most exciting chapter of our lives. When we get out of things like self-pity, when we get out of resentment, anger, anxiety, depression, all of those things, when they're gone, imagine how you feel. There's the freedom, right? There is the life of joy that we all crave. And it's not about alcohol. It's about emotional growth. That list of emotions I just gave you, that's a small sample of what we want to get a handle on so we can live emotionally free and build this beautiful life that I want for each and every one of us. I really am determined that at this stage of our lives, we sort of wake up and go, yo, whoa, wait a minute. I'm seeing that what's behind me might be a little bit longer than what's in front of me. And maybe it's time to regroup and ask myself, what do I want this life of mine to look like? And instead of feeling like I'm running out of time or I made too many mistakes or heaven forbid, the big unforgivable word, which I'm going to actually do an entire snippet on here very soon because I heard someone mention that word recently, that she had done things in the past that were unforgivable. And that's not even a word in my vocabulary, but I promise not to get sidetracked on that today. But just know that we are going to tackle it very soon, because if you're living with that word in your vocabulary, we got some work to do, babe. We got to do some work. But let me stay where I'm at. So the journey is emotional. And yes, emotional growth is about identity. We have to first see ourselves as the woman we want to be before we can create the life we want to create. All good, all clear. That's cool. We've been talking about this. This all makes sense. But there's a piece of it I don't want to fall by the wayside. It's very important, and it's a incredibly, actually, if we skip over this piece of the journey, we have an incomplete journey. And what is this piece? This is the letting go piece, the releasing piece. Now, for those of you who've been in Snippet Land a while, you know that we do book studies here periodically. And as a matter of fact, we're going to have to do one very soon because it's been a while, right? I think it's been since November. And we will. But for now, just recall that one of the books we did maybe about a year ago, I don't know, I could look it up, but I'm not going to. We did the book Letting Go by David R. Hawkins. Letting Go, that's the name of the book. Beautiful book. Hawkins tends to write academically, so it's not the simplest of reads. Not that you can't read it, but it's not really pop culture kind of stuff, right? But anyway, most importantly, in that book, Hawkins talks about the research he did and others have done around emotional releasing or letting go. Letting go not just of things and ideas and the past and stuff like that, but he's talking mainly about letting go of our emotions, our negative emotions. So if we're trying to come on this new journey and we're trying to grow emotionally, but we don't know how to let go, literally release negative emotions through the nervous system, then we're never going to get where we want to be. So I'm encouraging you, as you know, I'm encouraging you to envision who you want to be. I'm encouraging you to see the life that you're trying to build. And that all, of course, is around identity. But if we're trying to just add a new identity and learn emotional maturity without knowing how to release the negative emotions that we're carrying, then we're stuck. We're going to constantly be dragged back to where we were. We're going to say to ourselves, why isn't this working? I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but I keep reverting back to the old resentment. I keep reverting back to the old fear. I keep reverting back to the self-pity, even though very few of us will admit we're in self-pity. Self-pity is the word. It may not feel like self-pity, but often it is. And it manifests as a sort of underlying frustration with how come nothing's going my way? How come nobody understands how I feel? How come I'm all alone? How come I've been through all this and nobody's showing up for me? How come nobody gets it? How come I keep that self-pity? It really is. And that is in itself is another snippet. So regardless of what we're carrying, we have to learn how to release these emotions. And it's not something we do once. We don't just go, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to release all my resentments. I'll be done in 20 minutes and then I'm free. It's not how it works. We've been carrying these emotions for years, decades, and they're not going to just go away in one session. But I'm here to tell you they can be released. And they can be released for good. You're carrying these emotions in your energetic body. So this is about the nervous system, which is emotions are energy in motion, right? So our energetic body is our nervous system. And we're carrying these and they don't just fizzle off into nowhere when we start adding positivity or we start adding intention into our lives or we start building identity. They're not going to just go, oh, that doesn't quite fit, so I'll just go away. They won't. Instead, they're going to keep coming back, cause more frustration, and we end up back where we were, and we're like, what the hell happened? I thought I was growing. We have to learn to release these emotions. And as I said, that's not something we do once, and it's not something that we hear one snippet on and go, okay, got it, let me do that. This is not only a practice, but a skill. Now, you could start with Hawkins' book. As I said, it's not the easiest read. It's a bit dry. He's very academic. And when we did that study, it was one of the few books we didn't do the whole book because I knew that would send all of us screaming for the hills. But there were a couple of chapters early in the book where he actually describes why we release, which is what I've just said, and how we do it. And here's what I want you to know, gals. Letting go of negative emotions is simple, and it's actually something you know how to do by nature. You were born knowing how to do it. But here's the thing. We've forgotten. We get tangled up in the here and now. We learn how to hold on to our emotions, stuff them down, stuff them down, stuff them down, and then, okay, I'm good, or drink them down, right? That's what drinking is. It's just stuffing emotions. And when you've done that for years or even decades, you're not going to be able to just suddenly go, oh, I get it. Instead of a glass of wine, let me sit here and breathe and allow these emotions to release. I mean, that would be nice, but it's not that simple. No, wait a minute. It's not that easy. So let me be clear here. Letting go is simple, but not easy. Just like pretty much everything else we talk about here in Snippet Land. It's simple. I'm not giving complicated stuff. I'm not a scientific person. I'm a woman who practices what she preaches, helps others, learns through that, and came through it all just like you. A woman who drank all her emotions away for over 30 years. And so that's the position from which I speak. It's simple. We sit, we recognize, and we have the courage to allow ourselves to feel those negative emotions and allow them to dissipate through our energetic body or our nervous system. But how do you do that? Well, first you want to be trained. This is why I created an entire course. It's not a long course. I think there's 5 videos in there, the introduction, the conclusion, and then 3 or 4 videos in between where I actually teach you how to do it, and then some guided releasing sessions. This whole little course can change your life if you're practicing it over time. So to let go of our emotions it really does require support, because here's the thing. Imagine instead of having a drink or just expressing your emotions, which we don't want to do. Letting go is not the same as expressing your emotions. Let me get clear on that. It's not the same as going, oh, you're angry? Well, just be angry. Go ahead, scream and yell and shout, and then it'll be gone. That doesn't work. It just makes you more likely to get angry again next time. Letting go is very different from that. But to sit down and do it takes courage, gals. You know, if you're trying not to feel your emotions and I say to you, sit down and feel them, doesn't that take courage? It definitely does. And when we sit to do it, it can feel very scary. And the emotions can be very, very intense, especially if they're coming from past trauma, especially because they've been buried for so long. We can feel like we're going to explode from these negative emotions. And that's why we've learned how to stuff them and drink them away. And so to have someone just say to you, don't worry about it, just sit down and let them go. Here's how you do it. Take some deep breaths and let it go. It can feel very overwhelming. And I don't want you feeling overwhelmed. And I don't want you going into a meditation session and coming out with an anxiety attack, which can happen. So am I leaving you high and dry today? No, I'm not. I'm giving you, as always, here in Snippet Land, information to work with. But I also always say that this is a journey and one we should not be doing alone. Part of the journey, yes, is growing emotionally. The other prong, and that's what this snippet was about today, the other prong is learning how to release the old emotions so that they don't keep coming back. That's a practice, that's a skill, and it's very worthwhile. And as I just said a minute ago, it's most definitely part of my process because I want you fully and completely free. So the women in my coaching program, the women right now in my Juicy January, some of whom will be joining my coaching program at the end of the month, this is the type of things that we learn. And if you want real freedom, my dear, if you want to make this for real the best chapter of your life and not just something we listen about, read about, think about, and hope for, but something we actually sit down and do, invest our time, invest our money, invest our hearts into our lives, the life you have, the one and only life you have, that's when we get the freedom that I'm talking about. And I won't settle for anything less for you. You can listen to the snippets as long as you want, but it's not deep enough. It's, in fact, listening only to the snippets can lead you into surface dwelling. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want you going nowhere. Stay with me, babe. But I really hope that sooner or later you feel safe enough and confident enough and excited enough to go from listening to doing. It's the doers that get the results. Not the surface dwellers, not those who just listen to this show and that show and read this book and scroll and scroll and scroll and gather information. You'll never get there like that, my dear, never. And when you're ready to say, okay, I've heard enough, now I want to find out what it's like to do this, or take me up on one of my many, many invitations to join me in one of my events, whether it's a free challenge like we're doing this month in January, or a seminar or a workshop. They're happening pretty much every month. Every 4 to 6 weeks, I'm offering something live that you can do to get started on this journey for real and be a doer and not just a hearer, to stop surface dwelling. Gals, don't forget, the journey involves emotional growth and emotional releasing, and you can learn how to do it safely as long as you don't try and do it alone. And if you want to start that now, now's a great time. Go to the show notes. You'll find a link to the Sacred Mirror, which will link you directly to me. What will happen? You'll share a little bit of your story in an online form, a private online form, and I'll respond by sending you back a voice note using this microphone. And you and I will be connected. And that will give you the opportunity to choose to just listen to that, and that's fine, or come back and have a chat with me. Whatever works for you, babe. I'm here. When you're ready, I'm here and I'm ready. And the women who take that next step, I'm here to tell you, their lives are changed. I'm not just saying that. I get emails every single day. Thank you, Becca, for helping me change my life. That's why I do this, gals. That's what we're here for. We're not just hearers, we are doers. Thanks for popping in. Be sure to come back next time so I can keep your head on straight. Sending you buckets of love.